Do you feel confident that you have a great CV? And are you sure that when it goes in front of recruiters and hiring managers that it stands out? Well, if you have even a sneaky suspicion that that may not be the case, then you're in the right place. My name's Eva and I'm a career coach and customer success director, and I'm a hiring manager. So I've looked at thousands of CVs. Here I'm going to be sharing with you 3 missed opportunities to help your CV stand out and land you that job. Let's get to it. I was very surprised to discover that people I know with amazing experience don't have amazing CVs. Unfortunately, they're missing out on big opportunities to paint themselves in the best possible light and get that CV to stand out. You only have one opportunity to make that first impression, and your CV is incredibly important for that. By the way, I'm not going to be getting into how to visually make a CV look really good because I'm not a designer. I actually care far more about the content that goes into the CV. I'm sure there are lots of sites that you can look into to make it look really great if you're applying for a more creative role. But if you're also looking for top CV mistakes, this is actually my second CV video, and I'll leave a link up above to the first video I made on the top 5 mistakes people are making on their CVs that they don't even know about. So do check that out as well. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to be doing is starting off with a personal statement. Yes, you may also send a cover letter, but this is actually one of the first things that the recruiter's eyes or the hiring manager's eyes will be drawn to. And that is, what is your summary and what are you actually looking for? This is difficult to do because you only have 2 or 3 sentences that will go at the top of your CV. So you want to focus it on what are the highlights of your experience, and you can think about that as the roles you have held, in what type of industries, and for how long you've worked in that role. That's a pretty good starting point. And then you want to talk about what are the kinds of things that you're looking for. So you are looking for this type of role in this industry to increase your experience and knowledge in this particular area, or because you feel that you would have a lot to bring. Something that makes you unique and makes you stand out, and also helps recruiters just funnel your CV in the right place. Now what that means is your personal statement will also be different depending on the role that you're applying for. If you're applying for a range of different roles, make sure you tweak that and make sure it is tailored and aligns to the job you are applying for. Now, if you're someone with less experience, don't be intimidated by having to put, your whole work experience, which you probably don't have at the start of your CV. Something as simple as saying a grad with a keen interest in this area that you really want to deliver, and you're excited to work in a startup or a leading brand, or whatever the reason it is you want to work for that company. You don't have to have a huge amount of experience, but show your interest in that personal statement. Miss opportunity number 2, work experience or education. And what I mean by that is, what are you putting at the top of your CV? If that recruiter only has 7 seconds, what are you going to focus their attention on? Let's assume that you have 5 years experience as an account manager and you have a degree that you didn't do that well in. You got a 2-2 in biomedical science. Speaking from experience. Are you going to put that degree right at the top so the recruiter has something to pick at and a reason to disqualify you from even being in the running before you get the chance to show your good experience? No! You're going to start off with the relevant work experience that is for the role that you are applying for. Similarly, if because the standard is to start off with your work experience and then have your education. But if you are a recent grad and you worked at McDonald's, but you are applying for a data science role and that is what your degree is in, again, what do you think you should start with? You're not going to put the work experience at McDonald's first because that's not going to be as relevant unless you were doing something on their data side, which would be pretty cool. Add that in as an internship. But really think about, what's the role I'm going after? What is the evidence that I can show them that I've done something like this or have interest in something like this before? And that's what you want to put up at the top. So if you have a degree that you didn't do that well in, don't make that the first thing you mention on your CV. Talk about your skills. If you are transferring or moving to another industry, your work experience will probably not be that relevant. So if they are looking for people with 5 years experience in account management, but you didn't do exactly that, First, you want to make sure that you've got that in your personal statement, that you're looking to bring your transferable skills into that new industry. And then you want to start off with your skills rather than the work experience, which will be slightly less relevant. Oh, by the way, I was the master of the floss for 6 months running in my old company. That's what goes on your CV. 10-second dance break. Missed opportunity number 3, impact, not action. And this is a big one. This is probably the most common thing that I see people not taking advantage of in their CV. So listen up. You want to make sure that you are not just taking your list of responsibilities, you know you did this, your list of responsibilities from your job description and then just plugging them into your CV. Because that was the job you were paid to do. What I want to know as a hiring manager is, what did you do with that? How did you improve something that they were doing? How did you exceed your targets? How did you smash those expectations? You know, how did you do well? And the tips for that are finding some numbers. Numbers are your best friend. I would go through every single line of your CV and say, what am I demonstrating with this? What did I achieve? If you're starting out and you don't have a lot of those results yet, you can still quantify the scope of what you were doing. So if you're managing a certain number of customers or a certain amount of revenue, or you ran a number of surveys, or you set up a number of campaigns, all of these you want to include and then really try and get into the nitty-gritty of what results you drove. Now, sometimes you might not have a quantifiable role. So did you outperform your peers? Were you employee of the month? Was your work recognized by anyone important within the business? Were you given any awards or recognition? And this also goes for your hobbies too. So you want to include those in there, especially if you have a bit less experience. So think about what are the ways that you can quantify what you are actually doing. An example here is not that you were writing 5 reports a year, but that your reports informed the strategic direction, which then saved the company this amount of money, or improved your processes and managed to save the company time. So really try and bring it back to saving time, saving money, or creating something new. And if you can try and bring all of your responsibilities into that way of thinking. I've actually got here one of my old CVs from like 10 years ago. And I had a job as a sales and admin assistant. And here I can already see 2 points that I would completely remove. I said that I would update client records and I would add prospects into the new CRM to keep it up to date. So again, that's what I was doing. I would scrap that. What I want to include that I had is that I moved the details of 1,000 contacts from an old CRM to a new one. So again, it's not rocket science what I was doing, but it gives an idea that I have an idea of numbers and the scope of the work that I'm doing. And then I said lead generation of prospective clients for the sales team. I added 1,500 new companies as prospects to the new CRM. So that shows that I can do a little bit of research. They can imagine what I was doing, but just adding that number paints a better picture. So where are your numbers? Get your numbers in your CV. There's no excuse. This was a very junior role, but I still found a way to quantify what I was doing. And the numbers may not always be spelled out for you. You may need to go and count and look them up within the internal records, but you should be looking for them and including them as part of your achievements. So if you can do those 3 things, start with a personal statement at the top of your CV, followed by the most relevant work experience or education or skills, depending on the job that you're applying for and the experience that you already have, and focus on the impact of your work rather than just what you were doing, which is boring to read. Your CV will be much, much better than it is right now and will make it stand out to recruiters. If you have any questions, feel free to post them down in the chat, and best of luck with getting your CV perfect and landing that job. Thanks for watching.